What up, dudes? Here's the problem. We got x is increased by 30%, and then that result is decreased by 20%. Your options are A, x is increased by 10%. B, x is increased by 6%. C, x is increased by 4%. D, x is decreased by 5%. And E, x is decreased by 10%. Now, I forgot to ask you the question. The question was, what is the final result of this process? After you've increased it by 30% and you decrease it by 10%, what is the final result? Now, immediately, your brain is going to go to A. Because if you have 30%, you go 30, if you have something and you go 30% up, then you go, then you have, then you go 20% down, then you're basically increasing by 10%. I'll be honest with you, whenever you're dealing with percentages and they give you a gimme like that, I would throw it out. I would immediately think that's the wrong answer. I know, it's not a very scientific way to go about it, but I hate to say it, with percentages, they try to mess with you on these things. And if you get caught in that trap, I'm just letting you know, I know A is the wrong answer to begin with. I'll show you exactly how to do it correctly. But the point of me showing you this right now is basically to show you how to eliminate one of these tough choices. And I would say that the one you want to eliminate is obviously is that one right there. Now, I can also eliminate D and E, because even though percentages don't necessarily go exactly how I expect them to, I know that if I increase by 30% and then decrease by 20%, I'm not going to decrease more than I would be increasing. Actually, is that true? Yeah, I believe that's true. Although I'll be honest with you, I'm more solid about eliminating that choice, and a little shaky on eliminating these ones. So why don't we just kind of let these be for now? All right. Here's how you solve it. Whenever you deal with percentages, what I like doing is I always like dealing with the number of 100. So I say, well, let x equal to 100. Because now, dealing with increases and decreases is actually pretty easy. If you increase 100, I don't know, it doesn't tell us what x is, let's make it up. You have 100 pens. You increase that by 30%, how much pens do you have? Well, you have $130, or 130 pens after that. And you decrease that by 20%. Now, here's the thing, is if you decrease 100 by 20%, then you'll get minus 20. And so you'll get 110. And really, the end result, if you started off with 100 pens and you go up to 110, then yes, you would increase by 10%. But that's not how you do it. That's the wrong way. Because remember, what you're doing is you're not decreasing, the second step is not to decrease the original number by 20%, it's to decrease the new number, the 130, by 20%. And the way you would do that is you would say, all right, well, I have 130, and I want to decrease it by 20%. So let's figure out what 20% of 130 is. Well, that's just 20, you just multiply that by 20 over 100. You can reduce this fraction, 20 over 100, because that's what 20% means. You reduce that fraction to be 130 times 1 over 5. So really I'm taking 130 divided by 5. All right, well that would be 26, I think? Yeah, 26. So my answer is not 26. My answer is I'm decreasing this by 20%. So 20% is 26, so I want to decrease this number by 26. So I have 130 minus 26, which is 104. So if I started off with 100 pens, and I end up at the end of this process of increasing it by 30% and then increasing that new number by 20%, I'm left with 104 in the end. So in the end, what I actually did was I simply increased it from 100 to 104. Now you can convert that back to percentages. You can just think of this as 100% and 104%. So really all you did was you increased x by 104. I know. This part over here is a little bit complicated, but really my point that I'm trying to make is that I can eliminate option A. Now, let me tell you a little bit quick thing about the ACT and the SAT. On the ACT, that's one of the standardized tests. On the ACT, they only count the number correct you have. Number correct. They don't care if you get it wrong. They only give you plus points for the number correct. On the SAT, they give you +1 for the number, for, if you get it correct. But they give you minus 0.25 if you get it wrong. If you get it blank, they don't take off any. So what do? Well, the obvious thing in this case is I would always guess on the ACT. I mean, that's not my initial choice, but I'm just saying, if you are totally dumbfounded, I don't know what to do, then at least guess. Do not leave any answer blank on the ACT. Because if you get it right, you get plus points. If you get it wrong, nobody cares. Got it? On the SAT, don't guess. Because if you guess on the SAT and you get it wrong, you're going to get minus 0.25. However, here's my rule, all right? If I can eliminate at least one option of the 5 choices that they always give you, if you can eliminate at least one thing, and I don't know, maybe this is a personal preference thing or whatnot, but if you can eliminate at least one thing, then you're allowed to guess on the SAT. Because if you think about it, if you can eliminate one choice as the obviously that's not the right answer, then if you get it right, you get plus 4 times the amount. If you get it wrong, you get minus a quarter of the points, but you have a 1 in 4 shot of getting it. Those odds are pretty good. If I were in Vegas, I would take those odds. If I win $100 or I lose $25 or I lose $25 and the thing is like maybe they have a deck of cards and then guess which suit is going to come up next. Is it going to be spades, diamonds, clubs, or hearts? I would take that bet because I would have to lose 3 times. I would have to lose 4 times, and in order to lose out on the money. But statistically speaking, I would lose 3 times and win once, and I would still win. I would still end up with more money. I would end up with $25 more if I lost 3 times and then won $100. I hope that makes sense. The reason why I'm talking about the ACT versus SAT is because in this problem, I was able to eliminate 1. So regardless of whether or not I'm taking the ACT or SAT on this particular problem, if this were an ACT problem, I'd guess. I'd eliminate that answer and then I'd guess. If this were the SAT, I would eliminate that answer and I would guess. But I actually showed you how to do it the complicated way. Actually, it wasn't even that complicated, choosing 100 to begin with for X. But if you don't know how to do it, if you are totally stuck, then at that point you're allowed to guess. I hope that makes sense.